We need to talk about talking. There is literally nothing that I hate more than people who talk or who use their phones during movies at the theater. To me, it's just an unthinkable breach of civil conduct. It's incredibly rude and self centered, yes, obviously, but it's also like you paid $20 to see this movie. You can't wait 45 minutes until the movie's over to check your Instagram or to text your dumb friend. I have seen some pretty egregious behavior in my day. During a screening a number of years ago, I sat in front of two elderly women who held forth a full discussion about the mozzarella and tomato sandwiches that they had eaten for lunch earlier that day. Just recently, at a screening of Oppenheimer, I sat next to a guy who spent the entire movie, which is not short, explaining to his girlfriend who all the scientists were and which parts of the movie were scientifically accurate. Now, I'm probably one of the more extreme zealots when it comes to this issue. I have absolutely no tolerance for it. In my heart of hearts, once the trailers start, you should stop talking and put your phone away. That is just my truth personally. However, I realize that not everybody shares my view on this, so I allow a grace period during trailers. But once the trailers end and the movie starts, I better not see that phone screen or hear you chat with the person next to you. Once those opening credits start, there is literally no excuse for ever opening your mouth. If you're expecting news about the delivery of your first grandchild, congratulations! Now, get your ass out into the lobby so we all don't have to see the beacon of light on the screen of your Samsung Galaxy. If you see a funny little inside joke on screen that you want to lean over and share with your partner, guess what? I don't care. I'm probably in the 1% of the 1% who are this strict about it. Even my partner thinks it's okay to make a small, whispered aside mid-movie, which we obviously do not see eye to eye about. Mostly because of my zero talking policy, but also because it weakens my case in the event that I need to confront a talker nearby. So what should you do if you're confronted by somebody near you who is talking or texting during a movie? Even before the trailers start, I'm already on the lookout for potential offenders, and I like to pride myself for having a pretty good radar for these types. Boisterous people who clearly haven't seen each other in a while and are loudly catching up, watch out. Large groups of teenagers who think they're funny, that's gonna be trouble. Couples holding forth a full volume conversation well into the trailers, you think they're all of a sudden gonna clam up when the film starts? Guess again, buddy. People glued to their phones with the brightness turned all the way up, or people who are still wrapping up their text exchange 2 minutes past the start of the movie, I can almost guarantee you that you'll be seeing that screen again before too long. If I spot any of the aforementioned culprits, even during the grace period, my blood pressure will immediately begin to rise, and I will begin to steel myself for confrontation. And listen, I'm not as bad as I used to be. I've done a lot of work on myself. I've meditated, I've gone to therapy, I've learned to give people a little bit more grace. A few months ago, when I saw Wonka, I was seated next to a huge family with a gaggle of small children who were running amok and talking full volume throughout the movie. In the past, this would have launched my candy ass into orbit, but I took a deep breath. I told myself that this was a kids' movie and this screening was really for them, not for me. And I just tuned them out as best as I could. But when the screening is for me, i.e., when it's a regular non-kids movie, tuning them out is not an option as far as I'm concerned. So if there are full-grown adults that are talking or texting near you, you have a few potential routes that you can take. One, you can just move. I found that this is a really satisfactory resolution a lot of the time. Especially when the theater isn't full, you can just get up and go to a different seat where you can't see or hear them and enjoy the movie. This avoids a lot of confrontation and it doesn't spike your blood pressure, and you get to enjoy the movie. But with most theaters having assigned seating now, this isn't always an option. Two, you could notify a theater employee of the disturbance. Your mileage will vary depending on what theater you're at. For instance, Alamo Drafthouse has a stated zero tolerance policy for talking and texting, which they enforce some of the time. And if you're at a giant AMC or Regal, the teenagers who work there will probably laugh to your face if you tell them about somebody talking near you. Option 3, which I honestly don't even view as an option, but if you're more evolved than me, it might be, and that is to just ignore the disturbance and allow it to continue. This might work fine if you're a Zen Buddhist with 20 years of mindfulness practice under your belt, but believe it or not, that's not me. And then there is option 4, and this should really be used as a last resort. This option is to confront the talker and or texter. It took me a while to get to this point, but I am now firmly in team confrontation. If somebody's talking and or texting, I will usually give them a very small grace period. Maybe the thing they're saying to their seatmate is very important, or the text they're getting is crucially time sensitive. They're still being unspeakably rude, but I'll let it slide for a second just to see if they rectify the situation on their own. Something that I also try, but which has never really had any success, is to just stare blatantly at them. I always hope that this will work, but if you're oblivious enough to be gabbing or playing Wordle in a darkened theater, I don't think that you're even going to notice this happening. So if you're going to confront an ogre who's disrupting a movie, what exactly should you say? Normally, I will adjust my posture so that I am unmistakably addressing them. So be it turn around, leaning over to them, making some sort of gesture in their direction. Then I will usually say something like, "Would you please stop talking?" Or "Would you mind putting your phone away?" You could whisper this so as not to disturb everybody else in the theater, but I actually usually take a different route. I usually say it kind of loudly. I've found that often the offender will incur a proper level of public embarrassment and they'll usually stop. Sure, it's a little bit disruptive momentarily, but I think that it's more efficient as it will hopefully prevent the need for any further discourse in the future. I also think that if you don't whisper, it also confers an air of anger and maybe even instability upon you, which will work in your favor in situations like this. And look, I get it. Doing this is kind of scary. I'm from Minnesota, so avoiding confrontation is deeply embedded within every strand of my DNA. On top of that, there are some serious wackos out there. People have guns. People have gotten into fights in theaters over talking. You can't always accurately gauge the stability of a person in a darkened theater. So use your best judgment if you're going to confront the talker and or texter. And definitely don't put yourself in harm's way because you're distracted during a screening of the latest Insidious movie. I even think a well-timed shh can do the trick sometimes. As lovers of cinema, we have a responsibility to fight against the tide of incivility in our theaters. If one of your loved ones is a movie talker and or texter, have a conversation with them about what a rude lunatic they're being. And if you yourself are a movie talker and or texter, I think that you need to do some serious self-reflection about the kind of life that you've been leading. It's okay to realize that you've been in the wrong. Every movie that you go to is another chance to turn it all around and be a civilized patron of motion pictures. Theater should be a peaceful environment where viewers can concentrate on the movie that they spent $20 and an evening of their life to go see. We need to make sure that talkers and or texters feel unwelcome in this environment, and I'm more than happy to do my part. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.